Hi, everybody. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, we'll always have a glitch or two. Welcome. I'm glad you're here with us today. This is the SpiritCast broadcast. We're going to be doing a live channel from the group here in just a couple of minutes, which I am very much anticipating, trying to figure out sort of what is going on our planet and how things look from their perspective. So we'll be going into that channel in just a minute. And we also have, of course, question and answers that we're going to spend time after that. So please feel free to ask a question in the chat room. You're here in the YouTube chat room. If you're watching this on our website, you might want to click through to YouTube so that you can get the chat room. But you can ask questions there in the chat room, and we'll be able to cover that a little bit later. You also have the opportunity to send these in to questions@espavo.org. Obviously, if you send one in right now, I'm not going to get it till next month, so just be aware of that. But we're really honored to be here today. We have so much going on this planet that we're all going to work together to try and come up with some solutions to, we know what we're seeing isn't working. So now what we need to do is plant seeds of what will work. Let's open our hearts, open our minds, and create something magical together as we hold hands. So much is going on this planet. It's just very exciting. So in the meantime, I want to introduce a couple of people that are going to be working with us. One is Leavonne. Leavonne is one of our staff members, but she's also a very magical teacher of her own. You will be hearing more from Leavonne in through our channels coming up. So Leavonne, say hi to everybody.
It's Bravo, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad that you're here.
Thanks, Leavonne. She'll be asking the questions for us, and then of course we have we also have somebody manning or womaning, shall I say, the chat room here for you. So that would be Debbie, and Debbie's here with us today too. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, everybody.
Good. So
Good
if
to
you have
see
something in, yeah, if you have something in the
folks
chat
on
room,
again.
just go ahead and leave it for she. She will kind of make notes because sometimes they pass by pretty quick and so forth. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go into a channel first to kind of set the energy, and then we'll come back and ask any questions and be able to work with that as we go forward. So take a breath, everybody. Let's create some miracles together, shall we? Before we take a breath, or after I take a breath, I'm going to take a bit of coffee too. One of my wonderful addictions. Okay, take a breath, everybody, and just take a couple of easy breaths. We're going to ask you to do a couple things when you send in your questions. If you could keep them brief, it'll be easier, because otherwise Leavonne or Kathy or whoever's reading them has to cut them down. So we'd appreciate it if you try to cut them down yourself. It'll be a lot easier on it. Most of the time when you ask questions, we get questions sometimes that have 5 or 6 questions. Again, it's going to be much easier for us to handle this if you can put these in separate emails. It would be just a little easier for us to worry with it. Many times what will happen is the reader will read, oh, you've got these questions here, and then I have to ask them to go back because the group shows me one question. They don't show me they don't stack me up. So that's kind of how it works. But anyway, we'll be doing that too. I do want to remind you, if you enjoy what we're doing, we're going to expand this. I'll tell you right now, we're going to start doing some of the global light work at the same time. We're going to expand this a little bit. If you like what we're doing, please go down below and just hit that like button. It actually helps us with our Google numbers. It actually helps us if we want to run ads in the future, if we want to do anything. The other thing you can do for us is to subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel I'm talking about, now you can get automatic emails every time we do anything here. Anytime we put something up, you get a notification and be able to go check it out pretty quick. So we'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel as well. It really helps us out. So it's kind of like donating in a way. We're not going to ask you to donate, but we are going to ask you to subscribe to our channel. So it really helps. Thanks so much. And if you have any challenges with any of that, please get a hold of us. We'd love to be able to walk you through. With that, take a couple deep breaths. We've done all the details now. Greetings, dear ones. I am Merlia. I join you this joy with such a joy in your world. You have no idea what is truly happening behind the scenes. We must ask the keeper to remove his hat, however. We that's a male thing. We're going to stick on the feminine side here today. So anyway, with this, we have much going on this planet. It's actually very exciting for us to watch from this side of the veil. We know that you're very confused with what is taking place. It is always out of the norm for you. And yes, things are changing on your planet at an incredible rate. But we're so excited. So greetings from home. I am Merlia. I am the feminine side of the Merlin energy. And I've been waiting for a very long time to talk to all of you. Now your hearts are open. This is an opportunity to change everything right in front of you. Yes, everything that you see is starting to seemingly fall apart. Things that were always important that you built your lives on seem to be diminishing. They seem to be disintegrating. Well, that's on purpose. There's a lot of things changing. You have noticed this and been asking for it for a very long time. The reality is the fifth dimension is here now. You're trying to wrestle with releasing some of the old third dimensional items to move further into the fifth dimension. You see some of the wonderful attributes about it, and yet you're so accustomed to being here that it's very difficult. And yet it's happening, and it's exciting from our side of the veil. So please understand, when you are in difficulty trying to find your lives, trying to find those things you love, excuse us, those things you have built your lives on and can't quite find them, that is a good news for us, because you're going to create something new, and that you haven't seen yet, which is why the fear comes in. But trust us, wait until you see what's coming. It's a beautiful energy, and we will hold that vision for you. Yes, there have been times where you have come very close to ending the planet and ending humanity, and that is still a possibility, dear ones. Entire races do not last forever. And we're going to share that with you because that is the next subject that we're going to talk about. You have visitors. You have the third visitor from the interstellar. In other words, not just from the asteroid belt, not from the Kuiper belt, but even further out than anything we have known and anything we have explored, comes a visitor. The first one came quite some time ago. It had an O name to it. Then you named another one which came through the second time, a little bit different, but acted like interstellar comets would. They all had the same action. The third one comes along and it's acting quite different. You have done radio spectrographs of the entire area, as much as you could see. Right now, the I3 Atlas, which we're talking about, is moving into the sun. It's moving behind the sun, and it will reach its point where it reaches the highest level of heat from the sun. This will be very interesting. Very few comets have ever passed in this way without disintegrating in that area. We don't think that's going to happen. You see, what I3 is a visitor. You are being watched. We have told you this before when you asked about the I3 Atlas. It's probably the most important thing. Why are humans being watched? Because you're evolving. This has never happened before in the history of all that is. Now, that may seem strange, but you have always had evolution. You certainly have other races of beings that are further evolved technologically than you are, further evolved in many different ways than you are, and yet it's not just about that. You also have the Greys who have evolved so much they're now in trouble because they're having difficulty staying alive with those frail bodies they created. So it's really interesting to see what is taking place throughout all that is, because you're not alone. And we are not just talking to the beings of planet Earth. There are many beings on Earth and throughout the cosmos that are watching you now. Now, what about this evolution? Well, the evolution we talk about is from the third to the fifth dimension. There have been beings that have evolved to the height of their dimensional level, but never before has anybody actually changed. That is taking place. And it's very exciting for us to watch. We see some incredible energies and possibilities that we never thought were possible for the human race. Now, all eyes of the universe are on you. You're aware of that. We have told you that many times. The I3 Atlas is simply one more of those aspects. You are being watched. Now, interestingly enough, you know how fast this is coming through your entire area here of what you call your solar system. It might be kind of interesting to note that the I3 Atlas has also entered your solar system at the perfect time to actually cross over through the solar system, around the sun, and on its path again, and actually be able to contact each planet in your solar system. They will all be in a group as it passes through. Do you think that was intentional or by accident? Of course not. It was planned. You're being watched, not just you, the whole area around you, your solar system's being watched. The whole process, because you are moving in an incredible rate. Now, there's also some challenges out there, which is why you're seeing so much activity with what you call ETs. Well, we call them extra dimensional, so they're a little bit different. Most of them are actually in other dimensions of time-space that are very close to yours. So not all of them have to travel billions of light years to get to you to experience planet Earth. It's quite different. And the I3 Atlas is a fascinating process. You remember quite some time ago, you sent into space a couple of asteroids that you sent out. You called them spaceships. You called them space capsules. One of them, of course, was Voyager, and then there was Voyager 2. So you sent out into the universe a call that says, we're here. It showed exactly on the map where you were, where planet Earth is. You had recordings. You had all the things about your history. You had television programs all included in this beautiful little thing that went out into the universe. That has not reached the Oort cloud yet. So in other words, it hasn't made it as far as these three atlases have come through. These three projections have come through very quickly from outside of that space. Now it's interesting because as they pass planet Earth, they slow down. As they pass Mars, they slow down. In fact, they've turned several times in ways that doesn't make sense. The radio spectrographs that they have done of this show very little. In fact, the gravitational pull as it moved past Mars could be measured. That's one of the ways they were hoping to get a measurement of how big and how dense this was. They were not able to find anything. It was almost as if it didn't exist. Well, they know some things about technology, about physics that you don't. We hope to learn that very soon. You're learning much more than you're aware. You've already worked with anti-gravity. You've worked, a lot of these things have been worked with in your war departments, in your war games that you play on planet Earth. So they're playing these things, which is why they're trying to keep it from everybody. Everybody they don't want the other countries to know they have developed it. So obviously they're doing all this crazy stuff that is happening right now. And the ETs don't care. They're going to show anyway. You had one over Phoenix the other day. You've had them in different areas where they're just showing up. Your governments are ignoring them. The governments have given one aspect of the I3 Atlas several months ago and not talked about them since. The ESA, the European Space Administration, is now starting to release some information after having it held back for so long and starting to come forward. You cannot hide the truth, not eventually. And these are beings that are much more advanced technologically than you are. So you do not have to worry too much about that. With that kind of technology, dear ones, they could have taken you over a long time ago if that's what they wanted to. They could have devoured you. They could have completely eradicated planet Earth if they wanted to. Some of these are actually your parental races that started this in the first place. So the I3 Atlas, The I3 Atlas is one of these things very similar to your Voyager. The interesting aspect of the I3 Atlas is the beings that sent it are no longer there. That's how long it's been. This has been traveling in space for eons of time, for more than 1 million light years. And that's hard to understand, but that's a technology. Can you imagine something that you could build that would not only last that long, but could travel and gather information? You had the story about E.T., a little cute alien that landed on planet Earth, got lost, but he was collecting samples of biology, of botany. He was collecting samples of different things that he was, same thing I3 is. That's exactly what it is in some ways. There's also different aspects of this that it may try to replicate itself. You will not know that until it comes from the other side of the sun. We believe that's actually going to happen somewhere in December at this point. It will come out from the other side of the sun. If it comes out with all kinds of debris, you know that it had exploded on the other side of the sun, which is actually fairly normal for the path of a comet coming this close to the sun. The perennial aspects of it just completely blow it apart in many times. Now, if it comes out with a debris trail, you'll know everything's fine. It was a comet. If it comes out and it has disappeared, you have other things to consider. And that's that this project was set into motion to plant seeds. You will see more of these beings. They're wonderful beings. You have nothing to fear here. You are not alone in the universe, and you've known that since day one. Now you are trying to actually come face to face. You have opportunities to come face to face. Are they going to land on your planet and say, take ye to your leader? Absolutely not. They're already here. You've missed a lot of these things. They're already part of your societies. They're part of your energies, and they're available to you much more than you know. We tell you, dear ones, these are exciting times. We're watching as humans go through this massive change. And as we've mentioned many times, as humans evolve very quickly like you are right now, the biggest challenge about all of this are your systems that you have built. You have built systems, they move the slowest. So when humans evolve and you change your thought patterns and you bring lightness to the earth, the systems will be the slowest to evolve. And that's where you're seeing your challenges today. You're seeing it in your governments. You're seeing it in your finances, or at least you will very soon. You're seeing it in a lot of different areas because many of these systems actually have to break apart in order to change. So do not fear it. That's the main thing. Anytime changes happen on your planet, there's incredible opportunities. Watch for those opportunities. Know that you are here right now for a specific reason. And we are very happy to see you here. Well done, dear ones. Well done. I am Merlia. I am the feminine energy of Merlin. The magic of the feminine is rising on planet Earth. We're so happy to be with you in this way. And with that, we will start taking a few questions from you at this point. Espavo, dear ones.
Thank you, Steve, and the group. That was powerful. I'm loving the feminine divine energy in the space. Okay, so moving on to our first question. Dear Steve and the group, first and foremost, I would like to thank you for the fascinating teachings, the mind-blowing information, which, by the way, and even if seemingly impossible, always entered our reality full blown. There is
Thank
so
you.
much buzz about Three Eye Atlas. I would love to hear your and the group's perspective on it. Looking forward to many more incredible news from the group. Sending my light to all from Mauritius Dagmar. That was the first question from one of our light masters, and you definitely have touched upon that. If there's anything more
Awesome.
that you want to share, I guess you can do so.
Excellent. Magical place, Mauritius. Very magical place. we tell you there's much of this that you're going to be learning as time goes on about the I3 Atlas. Please know that it is a collector. It is an ancient collector, but the technology is going to teach you much right now. It's not planning on landing. You're not going to be able to dissect it in the ways that you do. But we tell you, dear ones, on December 19th is when this will actually come the closest to planet Earth that it will be. And at that time, you're going to be able to discover things that you will not understand right away. So these will open up to projections and so forth. Please be cautious of one thing. As your governments are being incredibly quiet for some stupid reason, the reality of this is you will project into this. It is very easy to turn this into some sort of conspiracy theory or some big fear process that will work its way through the internet very easily. Please be cautious of that. Please be cautious of sending out the fear waves. There really is no reason for it. And that's the biggest thing we want to tell you about the I3 Atlas. It's almost as if there's a camera pointed at you. So all we're going to do is tell you to smile at the camera. Look up, smile at the camera with there, and wave to them, plain and simple. The fascinating part is, as we mentioned, is collecting a lot of data. The beings that actually created this and sent them out are no longer in existence. It's been a very long time. No one lasts forever, as you can look through the universe and see. But the reality is, other beings have tapped into that frequency. So even though the beings that actually sent this out are not here to receive the answers, there are beings that are watching through those eyes. So as we mentioned, look up and smile. Wave to the camera. Absolutely. We hope that helps. Pablo.
Thank you. And this is our second question from another light master. And pardon me if you hear any background noise, I'm in New York. Dear Steve and the group, I have been struggling with fatigue for long years since my early 20s. Sometimes I feel the dragging of my body. I need to take naps during the day. Winters are easier for me as I function much better in the cold weather, but my fatigue especially gets worse in hot weather. I would be thankful if you could tell me why I'm experiencing this and how I can fix it. Big hugs. Goksu.
Goksu. Wonderful, wonderful lady. Part of our family. From Turkey. Let us explain something. You have a wiring system that you have actually developed for planet Earth. And there are times when that energetic wiring system gets overloaded. When it does, it's almost as if it melts down a little bit. Normally, it will melt down for a short time and recuperate. You'll find it coming back. Long term, it becomes chronic. It's not a problem. You can still rewire yourself. One of the things that you should think about, since you are attracted to the cold, is going to a place where they can basically dip your body in super cold for a while. There is a word for it that we do not have, so we're not able to tell you that. But these are fairly common and probably are many different places throughout the world. Look for that first. If you are able to get one of those treatments, they're simply treatments. They generally, at this page, do not have to have a doctor's behind it or anything of that nature, depending on the country you're in and the laws and so forth. But the reality is that this can help you reset your energetic cycle. You absolutely are correct. You're going to do better in cold at this point than hot. So go for the cold. Reset in the cold as much as possible and try to reset on a regular basis. In other words, if you get a treatment from one of these places that basically helps you to really reduce very quickly the outside of the physical body, that can help you reset all the mechanisms. It's probably going to need a couple of these resets, which is why we say on a regular basis. If you're able to do that, you're able to find this, you'll probably want to pace these about 2 months apart. But to reset that, you are training your body to think of hot and cold differently. What takes place is when things get even a little bit warm, your body goes on overdrive, which is why you're always exhausted. It feels like you're carrying the body around, and you are. Now, you can label chronic fatigue, you can label fibromyalgia, you can label a lot of different aspects on this, but we're telling you, you particularly have an opportunity to reset this in that way. So find that out and let us know how it works for you. Spavo.
Thank you for that question, Goksu. All right, our next question. The information you and the group have provided has been very helpful in my spiritual journey. Thank you for all you are doing. I have taken both transition courses and was part of a program called No One Dies Alone, where we sat with the dying in their final hours to assist in their transition. My question is, we have come through the third dimension into the fifth dimension. Are there more dimensions than the fifth? With much love, Perry.
Of course there are. That's why you label them. And we say you label them. We'll tell you this is interesting because for us, we're going to tell you a little story. Unity consciousness. Everything is connected. You call it God. Everything is all part of each other. Until it decides to grow. When it decides to grow, it sends little offshoots out into the world in different ways and different things that happen, and those are you. So basically, you're evolving all that is piece by piece. It is the reason you are here. Now, you've mentioned a lot of different aspects about how this works and how this is going to work in different areas. You have a lot of opportunities to go in many different areas right now. All of you can work with your health. You can reset the body for the next stage of life. We have even been doing this ourselves to try and offer you the tools to do this. In the Lightmaster course this entire last year, we have been giving you tools to live in the higher vibrations of the fifth dimension. This next year, which starts next month, we're going to actually be using those tools. What is life like in the fifth dimension? How do we anchor that in different ways? But also on the side, we've been offering for everyone who's not in Lightmaster, we've been offering the ageless part. Dear ones, your bodies were meant for 300 years old. Why are you only living to be 100? What is that about? And can you correct that? Yes, you can. And as you step into this higher vibration, as the world changes, is the perfect time to do it. Now, there's some challenges with the whole process. We mentioned this the other day in the class that we gave. It's very simple. You have grown up. In the 60s, you had a whole contrarian race of beings that came. They were called the hippies, and they basically, everything that they were taught, they'd look the other way to see if there was another truth that they could find. And they threw away a lot of the teachings from previous and opened the doors to new ones. Every generation after that has done the same thing. They've negated what has gone before and discovered new things. Now that's interesting. And it's also changed your planet. Because what has evolved is that you have basically not made space for elderly people. You disregard them. Oh, they're from a previous generation. They don't have anything they can give us. So you have developed a society that does not honor the elderly. If you start moving in the fifth dimension and living a lot longer, you may want to rethink that whole process. And that's what we're talking about. Well, we're going to be doing Ageless Body. We're going to be stepping into the Ageless Body. We've already worked with reverse aging. We're going to be doing a few of these things to start thinking so that you can start thinking new thoughts and rejuvenating. And it's here. And you have that capability now. Espavo.
Thank you, group. That was fascinating. Our next question. Hi, Steve. My burning question. We've been taught that if we do what we love, abundance will flow. And what we intend and take action toward, we will create. That hasn't worked so far in retirement. I worked half days until the age of 81 as an office manager until my boss sold his small company. There was no retirement package since it was half time. Since then, I've been doing what I love and intending to create abundance doing it. But instead, I've been slowly falling into debt since my husband passed, and I'm on only one Social Security. I've asked for clear guidance and opportunities as well. It's been a big disappointment for me not to be supported in what I love doing and instead slowly falling into debt. Now what? Many thanks and blessings from Colorado, Janet.
Awesome. This is actually somewhat common because you take something we said and kind of misinterpret it a little bit. So let us be really clear. The easiest way to bring abundance into your life is to be in your passion and joy. That does not mean that you need to work in the area of passion and joy. What it means is that as you experience passion and it becomes important in your life, you make time for it, you make space for it, even though you're working somewhere else, the work or something else will bring in more abundance. So it's kind of tricky in some ways to set your energy up to do nothing but experience joy and passion if some of you will be able to make money in that area. But that's not exactly what we said. What we're saying is that when you experience those things that light you up, your eyes get brighter. You send out energy from your vagus nerve. It basically awakens the world and says, I'm here, let's do something, and works with you in all these different ways. So in those areas, you'll have to decide where that goes. You'll have to decide those processes. I know you're disappointed. I know you're challenged. Your government does not take care of you, and that is a shame. But unfortunately, that is the swing of the government you happen to be under right now. So it's a bit of a challenge for many people who are in that way, looking to have the American dream of going to a point and retiring and just going off and having fun for the rest of your life. That was a setup for disaster in the first place. So please understand, you can certainly cut down your work, which you have been doing, but don't feel like you need to go into this magical land of retirement because it's a death certificate. The reality is be on purpose. Find that passion. Do as much of the passion as you can. If you're able to bring money in through what you do for passion, that's fine. But if not, experience the passion and look elsewhere. Look for what the things that you need. Do not think that you are limited by what you used to be. Your energies have changed drastically. Your experience has changed. Rewrite your essays. Rewrite the entire process that you're sending out. Rewrite all of it and rewrite yourself. Rethink. Now, the other aspect of this, and this is for you personally, you have gained a tremendous amount of energy and a tremendous amount of wisdom in this lifetime. You're a teacher, and you haven't been able to find that spot for teaching. What we ask you to do first, we know that you're going into debt and having difficulties, and that's taking a lot of your attention. But what we ask you to do is carve out a little bit of time every day to write, to simply ground that channel. That will start a process for you. Whether you end up making money from the writing or not doesn't matter. The important part right now is to ground that light. It may turn into something later, you can't tell. But don't try to project it into, I'm writing a book. Just ground that light. Find that energy, because that changes everything, and it changes it very quickly. Dear one, we're sending you incredible love. You have had a difficult life this time, and you've done really well because you've left seeds of light throughout everything that you've touched. Well done. Watch for the support. It's coming. Espavo.
Thank you. That was actually very inspiring. Very inspiring. And I'd just like to briefly add on top of that. If we can find ways to anchor in joy and passion into a little bit of everything that we do, just in small increments, that can make all the world of a difference. Our next question. Hello, Steve and the group. I'm still intrigued by the fact that there are 10 other versions of myself out there. Some days I wake up and I feel a heaviness and sadness that I can't explain because at the time, all is well in my life. Other days, I feel elated and I laugh very easily. Could it be that I'm being influenced by another version or other versions of myself that have slipped through this timeline? That being said, when one version has awakened, does that mean that the other versions have awakened too? Thank you for responding. And most of all, thank you for this opportunity. Monique.
Excellent question, Monique. Excellent question. And it's difficult to understand. We agree with you to know that there are 10 other yous going through life with your wisdom, with your energy, with your personality, with your laughter, the same thing, but making different decisions. That's the interesting part. Probably the fun part about multidimensionality that we like to share with people is that when you make a decision and you go, I wonder what would have happened if I would have chosen the other way. Someone else in your dimensions chose the other part. So you get to experience all of it. You're not limited to one choice. Many opportunities to be able to see this on a regular basis. Now, when you sleep, your own dimensional walls, all dimensional walls everywhere are starting to thin. Most people will experience this beginning in their dreams or in their thoughts at night, usually when they're awakening in the morning. When you start coming out of a deep sleep, you go through a brainwave pattern set that basically it causes the REM, the rapid eye movements and so forth. That is when your dreams land. You've been carrying them all night long, but they don't actually enter you until that point. That's when all dreams take place. So when you wake up in the morning and you have this sadness over here, or you have this joy that you don't know where it came from, you basically jumped into one of these other dimensions while you were sleeping. You came back with those attributes, but not the memory. So there's many things you can do with this. Number one, you can actually look up some of the dream works that people have really worked with. There's many people that are working with dreams all together. Teresa Chung is one of them in the UK, does incredible things about dream work. There's many people that are doing this on a regular basis. Take a look at some of this and see what resonates with you. But basically, when you come back with these other feelings, those are the things that go through the walls first. So in other words, you have different patterns. We'll say that the head is electrical, the heart is magnetic. The wave patterns for magnetic are much lower in some ways. They'll tend to go much further distances, much through things, and not carry as much information, but you basically will come back with a feeling. Well, when you go into a dream state, you come back and you're awake and you go, okay, where am I? Oh, yes, I'm here. I've got to get breakfast going. And you have the sadness that you carried from before. So when you feel those things, celebrate them. Absolutely know that these are positive aspects. You have hidden your perfection in each one of these. Perfection is not allowed on planet Earth. So you divide it up and you put some of your perfection in each one. As the dimensional walls thin, you bring back your perfection. You're evolving in that way as well. There's so many things taking place with humans. It's fascinating, which is why you have all the attention of the universe. Celebrate it, dear one. And know that it's a magical time. And you're one of the special ones that get to feel that. Spabo.
Thank you, group. Our next question. Hello, Steve and the group of 9. The number of orbs in our skies has increased dramatically. Are these orbs interdimensional travelers? And if not, what are they and what is their purpose?
Well, that is exactly true. They are interdimensional very clearly. What is their purpose? They're just living. It would be like asking, what is humans' purpose on planet Earth? The reality is they're in a different dimension of time space. They have their own areas of congealing together, almost as if they have their own ways of creating societies, if you will. It's a different level of dimension, so it's hard, but these are sentient living beings. That's simple. You see them as orbs because they are not able to completely penetrate and exist in your reality. So what it almost as if there was a wall here between the dimensions, if you will. We've been talking about the walls thinning. So if you have a wall here, your orbs exist over here, you exist on the other side of the wall. The orbs are pushing at the wall. And all you see are these little orbs. Well, it's more than that. You're getting information, they're trying to talk with you, but they're also very clearly talking to each other. So they have their own agenda more than an agenda to interlace with the humans. But the reality is they are not yet aware of you. You're aware of them, but they're not yet aware of you. This will change, and you will ultimately end up having conversations with these beings. But right now, just celebrate it. Smile when you see it. Say thank you. Send them on their way and watch as they respond to you in some way and then drift off. Enjoy, play with it. Espavo.
Thank you. Our next question. Another channeler is saying that we can and should use AI to connect with entities from the other side as well as our own soul. I would like the group's perspective on this. Can we use AI to talk directly to entities such as the group as well as our own higher self? Michelle.
This is fascinating. First of all, we do not ever comment on another person's channel. So please understand, we all see things from different, and they're going to be translated differently, even if they're coming from the same person, same place. So please understand, we don't actually say that we agree or we disagree ever with another channel, because it's simply an interpretation. It's an understanding. Now, what are you seeing? Well, there's all sorts of things that are taking place. Can you read that last part again? There was one thing that in there that we wanted to get.
Certainly. I would like the group's perspective on this. Can we use AI to talk directly to entities such as the group as well as our own higher self?
Perfect. Absolutely. Why not? Can you talk to a mirror and channel? You bet you can. Absolutely. Why not? What is AI? AI is a mirror. Is it accurate? Nah, it's going to come close. It'll come close. Is it really accurate? It's going to pick up pieces of things that have been said before. If you want new information, probably not going to be able to help you, but it will arrange things in a way to appear that way. Now, the most important part, you're the creator, not the AI. So if you are going there for information that you don't have, it's probably not going to be too useful for you. It'll give you the illusion right off the bat because it's good at that. But it may not be able to actually complete what you wanted. Now, the rest of it is really interesting because it will emulate you or emulate what you are trying to receive. But it's only an emulation. It's not actually being able to connect. Now, can it actually connect? It can't, you can. If you're standing in front of a mirror and you want to channel that being in the mirror, you can absolutely do that. Of course you are. You're a creator being. Why not? Can you get really good information from the person in the mirror? Of course you can. Can that be triggered by AI? Yes, it can. Does it mean that that's going to be an endless source? No. No. Again, it can only bring what's already here. It can't bring new information. So it can only postulate, it can only grab little pieces and bring things together. It will be very useful for you if you would like to hear something really interesting. In the days of Atlantis, you evolved technologically, but not in the same ways you did here. You evolved into biology, and you actually created clones. And you actually created a race of beings, very small one, but a race of beings to do some of the work that you did not want to do. Does that sound like AI? The interesting part is those beings went on to exist on their own. They did not just there to help out humans. They ended up evolving. They were slower than humans. You made them with very small brains and very big bodies to do all the things that you wanted to do. Did they stay there? No, they went off and started their own race of beings. They're part of the human race today. Yes. So interestingly enough, can you use AI? Yes. Use AI as a mirror. Absolutely. Does it mean you give your power to it? We don't want you giving your power to anything, even us. You ask us a question, we will give you an answer, but please do not give your power to us. Please take the information we give, integrate it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, throw it off and choose again. You're a creator being. That's the idea. Okay? We hope that helps. Salvador.
Thank you, group. Espavo, Espavo, Espavo. Our next question. Thank you always for your beautiful guidance. Back in 2020, you told me my son was waiting to be born, and you were right. Hamish is now 4 and the light of my life. I'm struggling to discern spirit's guidance as I choose between staying in a financially stable but draining job, risking a temporary loss of income, or prioritizing my son's education and well being. I have to make a decision within the next week, or I'll be locked into my current teaching days until at least next April. Please advise. Luis.
That is a challenge. And please understand, we can only show you what's down this avenue and what's down this avenue, but obviously we cannot make choices for you. You must do that yourself. Now, with that, you think that you are balancing the welfare of your son versus your own welfare, if we understand your question correctly, and that is not what we see. Please understand something important. Your son watches everything you do. Would you wish your son to take a job that was actually draining him all the time so that he could provide income for his family? If you were giving him advice and he was 32 years old and he had the same choice, what would you tell him? And that's an interesting point because your choice is speaking to him. He may not recognize it at 4 years old, but he certainly will recognize it later. Because when you come home drained, when you come home stressed, when you come home with your vagus nerve all full of stress and not able to communicate, not able to work, have to try and recoup a little bit before you can talk, that is a challenge, and you are teaching your son to do exactly the same thing. So we beg you, please, no matter what decision you make, because both of those decisions can be correct, please do not lock yourself in and don't feel like you are locked in. There are times when teachers quit in the mid-year, where you don't know where you are in the world, but it happens everywhere. And that can take place as well. So please don't feel like you're absolutely locked in the way you think you are. But at the same time, look at the possibilities. Look at many of these aspects. And keep in mind, this is what you're teaching your son right now. Well done. You're a great teacher. Espavo.
Thank you. Our next question. The group has talked about a financial reset for years. Is it still coming? If yes, should we be buying things like gold or crypto? Personally, I don't like crypto, but is this going to be or I'm sorry, but is this going to become the currency of the future? Michelle.
Crypto, no, that won't be. Crypto will always be an outside source. It was, when it was taking off, it was embraced by many countries that were going to make it actually their currency. It failed drastically right off the bat because of the inability to trace it. Please understand, this was the reason crypto was made in the first place, to keep everybody away from where the money is going. You cannot follow the money in crypto, which was the purpose of crypto originally, to completely disconnect it. It's an incredible piece. Now, what about the large piece? Well, the reality is you've been on the edge for quite some time. You've been dancing on this edge for some time. Now, you also may think that you're in charge of your reality. You're not as far as your money is concerned. There is the money that we have talked about, and then there is the people. The interesting part is the people buy the products, take them home, use them. The money stays with over here with the people that sold it. They get really big and they start controlling your governments. And that has absolutely happened in multiple places throughout the world, and especially the United States. The money has taken you over, not a side, anything else. The money is very simple. The money wants to grow on its own. It doesn't want interference from any governments. It wants all the rules to be released so that it can do whatever it wants. And at this point, it's winning. So this is simply a politics thing. So again, it's a pendulum. It's going to swing back and forth. Right now, it's being pulled very far to one side. We're hoping you can swing to the middle and stay there in the near future, because these swings are absolutely crazy. Is it going to break apart? Well, dear ones, we have said this for almost 2 years now, and it's been avoided over and over and over again. Things have been swept under the rug so as to not scare the public, to not teeter off that edge, to fall into the abyss, so to speak. And it's been successful. You've been able to keep everything. There's hope on the horizon still. But the reality is your systems are coming apart. Not just economies, but governments all over the world. You're seeing things being taken over. You're seeing strongmen come in and take over your countries. It's happening on a global basis. This is part of the change. As we mentioned, systems must break apart before they can be rebuilt. It goes back to the old story of the Shakti and the Shiva. The Shakti had to come in and destroy everything before the Shiva could come in and rebuild anew. Well, it's taking place. Don't fret. It's temporary. But it is at the height of its movement right now. And as we mentioned, the money is where we have been talking about for years. People have asked us, who's going to win this election? Who's going to win this election? And we never talk about people. We talk about the money versus the people. Well, the money won. And that's where you're at. Now, humans can awaken from the dream. They can take charge and they can take your power. And that's actually starting to happen. It's becoming very interesting to watch on planet Earth, especially the United States right now. This will be interesting to see. So that is the suggestions we have for you. You're in a field of transition. Find the best ways that you can to get through it. And as we've mentioned many times, when you're walking through a mud puddle, the secret is simple. Keep walking. Espavo.
Thank you. Our next question. Thanks to Steve and the team for doing these monthly sessions. My question is about the use of red lights and surface area. As often as possible, I start my day with 30 seconds with my red lights blankets or more like mats. I have two in different sizes, one that is more red lights and less near infrared, and the others are more infrared lights and less red. I have them in various sizes as well. Question: how does placement of red lights on the body and the surface area of lights, sorry, I don't understand the question. Hold on. How does the placement of red lights on the body and the surface area of lights the body is exposed to work?
You've mentioned a couple different things, so let us clarify some of the earlier things before we answer that question. You've talked about near infrared. Well, far infrared is off the scale. So when we talk about red light, healing with red light, which we have been talking about for 20 years in Lightmaster, showing you examples of it, the range is 630 to 690 nanometers. The wave frequency, 630 to 690. Far infrared goes beyond that. Now, far infrared has its own healing abilities, but it's a little bit different. It needs a flood of energy. When you go into a sauna, which has far infrared in it, it is giving you energy from everywhere. When you go into the Keeper's sauna, which is right outside here, it is a building that is a regular sauna with hot rocks and you can put water on and all the other things. But there are 32 panels of red lights everywhere, which run between the 630 and the 690. On top of that, at every place where he has a bathroom in his house, he also has lasers, which run between 630 and 690. The way lasers can be used in different ways, you can use a simple laser pointer, which has a very small area, which it talks about, which is what your question was. You can actually use that. Obviously, you must keep it moving to excite everything. If you are able to get what is called a wide beam laser, these work better. Obviously, they cover more area on as you are using it and triggers it. You should always move the laser and the red light anyway, unless if you are using laser light. Laser is coherent light, which is quite different than the light you see right now, which is bouncing all over the place and bouncing off of everything. Coherent light is simply in a straight line. All the frequencies are aligned to be exactly the same so that it travels in an unnatural state. Laser light does not exist in nature. It's a human invention, and it really interacts with your physical body, particularly your skin, the largest organ in your body, the dermatitis. It reacts to red light. It loves it. Further in, you'll see the keeper went to the dentist the other day. Guess what? They treated his gums with red light. They're doing it and of course they charged a fortune for it. They're doing these things all the time. You can do most of this. The question is, which one is better? What feels good to you? That's the idea. 630 to 690 is the healing range. You go beyond that into far infrared. It has its own properties, but it's different than the healing properties of the 630 to 690. We hope that helps you quite a bit. You'll find that red light has been quietly moving into your healing circles. We find it very interesting because the United States government tries to monitor everything that's used for healing, but they have decided a long time ago that light was simply not going to be one of those things. So it's completely open to be able to discover what works for you and without restrictions from anybody. This can be wonderful. There's many places also that sells varieties of lights, of PEMF, of all sorts of things that you can now use for healing that were just on the fringe before that are starting to work their way into everyday life. This is incredible. You live in incredible times. Take advantage of it. With that, I think we're probably out of time for these questions. Unfortunately, we have to switch over to the other side, but thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. And that question I didn't mention was from TC in New York City. And yes, we have hit the 1 hour mark. Would you like to take one more of these questions, or shall we proceed in the chat?
When you ask the group a question, they rarely say no. Of course, we'll take one more.
Okay, great. All right. So this will be the final question here. Although the hospital told me that there were no abnormalities for about a year, I have felt a sense of pressure in the blood vessels throughout my head and pain in the blood vessels near my heart. Even a short walk makes me feel unwell. I personally suspect this might have to do with the narrowing of blood vessels around my heart. Problem is, I've been receiving opposite messages. One says, have a catheter surgery on your heart. The other says, you're still okay, don't touch it, and you shouldn't do it. I suspect that one of these voices might be something trying to deceive me, and so I've chosen to believe that having the surgery is false. Kindly tell me what situation I am in now, and am I making the right decision for choosing to live without surgery? Shia from Japan. From Japan.
For today, that is a good decision. Please understand something. You have doctors on your planet. You have dentists. You have all sorts of range of different healers in traditional medicine, in that type of medicine that is everywhere. They're also in business. So when you come to them with a problem, the first thing they do is look in the areas that they specialize to see if they can help you. If they can help you, they tell you that. That is also part of their business flow. We'd love to tell you that when you're in the healing aspect that money does not play a part of it, but it absolutely does. Again, money versus the people. Here we are. So what you're getting is not wrong. There is truth in both of these. I would tend to be very hesitant around putting a stent near the heart for the time being. I would wait until you are absolutely sure you need it. So right now, I think you are in the right direction of choosing not to do it, but keep it as a possibility, particularly if you start to get lightheaded. That will be a big trigger for you. There will come a point where the symptoms increase. There's also a point where they may decrease on their own. That would actually be happening right now. Don't actually think that's happening, but if it is, stay with that and just erase the whole thing. If it isn't happening, it means that you've passed that opportunity and it's probably going to continue to degrade over periods of time. Don't worry about it. This is not going to end you. This is not going to take your life. You can work with this. There are answers for you. There's also a third opportunity which you have not heard yet. So I would also keep asking questions of people in the know. There's a technique that has not been revealed to you yet that also would be a third possibility, which would probably work for you pretty well. So keep that in mind. Espavo. And we thank you, Leavonne, for your work. Very magical, my dear.
Yeah,
Very
thank
magical.
you. And just as a reminder, we are not providing medical advice here. Of course, that is our disclaimer. And of course, you have the power to make your own decisions as to what is received in this transmission. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, the
Espavo.
group.
So now we'll bring in Debbie. There we go. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, everyone, again. Hello, Merlia. And we have several questions in the chat today. So we'll get started and I'll work my way down in the order they came in. So we have a couple of questions that are kind of follow-ups to things that Merlia already had said. The first one is from Dagmar, and it's again about the 3-eye atlas. She's wondering, well, you've already said that they are transmitting the information to a number of people, or at least other people are listening in. She asks, who are the others and where are the others that are getting transmitted to? Thank you.
We find it fascinating. You want to know where they are and what it is. If we told you, you have no words for it. It's difficult to explain because you understand, dear ones, each language, even on your planet, each individual language has looked at the apple and called it something different. So for us to also reach into another world and call it something that you would understand is very challenging. This actually came from more than 2 million light years away. It's very difficult to understand. The reality is this group of beings that sent this off, who are no longer in existence, they worked and worked and worked to develop the capabilities of actually putting something out there that could do this. Now, of course, there are the opportunities that it may be planting seeds and replicating itself. You won't actually know that if that happens. That is capable of the I3 Atlas, but we also tell you that was not the plan. So that is not the case. You won't actually know if that takes place until it comes from around the sun. If it comes from around the sun completely intact, you'll know everything's right on target. If it comes from around the sun with a debris field, you know that it's split up and it exploded, and that its remnants are here. That would be a normal comet. But this one is totally different. Not only does it have a tail behind it, it has a headlight in front of it. So it's fascinating to see what is going on with this and what's taking place. So you've got a lot of things that are taking place with this that are different. But we tell you it has been tapped into by beings that were not nearly that far away. If we had to point in the direction, we would have to point you toward Sirius. We could also, well, if you want to go back further than that, we can point you in the direction of Cassiopeia, but as we mentioned, they're not there. So it's kind of difficult. But those, and we say direction because that is the area that you could be looking in, but it's actually much further than you would imagine. So the reality is also that humans have been trying to measure space for quite some time. You have very cleverly figured out ways that you can measure distances until 2 weeks ago. All that changed. You've discovered you've been missing an important part of measurement. You've also discovered that your own galaxy, the Milky Way, is almost twice the size that you originally thought it was. So you're recalculating all of these things right now because all the distances that you have measured previously are going to need to be rethought. This is going to be fascinating because in here you also have capabilities of discovering other things that are here. So we hope that helps your understanding a little bit. We'd love to simply say that these beings were ABC. We can call them ABC. They don't care. They're not here. The reality is there are no English words that we can actually use to point to that. But you can look in those directions. It's fascinating. You will see more. Espavo.
Thank you, Steve, or Merlia, I should say. Our next question is also a follow-up. This is from Radical Bubble, and she or he wonders, what other ways can we reset our wiring systems for those of us adverse to the cold?
Yes. Well, there's actually a lot. The information we gave to Goksu was for Goksu. So please understand that. That is a very unusual situation to be able to reset. But the situation is there's many things that are opening up. There are many opportunities. You're going to see a wave of new energy on planet Earth now. It's actually been born already. It's moving into, it will be awakening. It'll be moving into early teen years. In just a couple of years, you're going to see a new influence on planet Earth. As we mentioned before, like many of the ones before that, they'll tend to throw everything out from previous generations and rethink everything anew. And you simply stand back and watch with amazement. Absolutely. But the fascinating part is these beings that are coming in now will have capabilities of shifting dimensions much more easily than humans that are on this planet right at this moment, with the exception of this new wave. As a result, you'll see new people moving into metaphysics in a very big way. Prepare yourself. Most of you that are watching this are teachers or healers in your own right, even if you don't know it. Prepare yourself. Know that these are coming. And this is an exciting time to position yourself in a place where you can be of service in these areas. We hope that answers your question. Spavo.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Our next question comes from Ava, and she is saying, many say Ascension can trigger illness, but what if the illness is severe enough to cause permanent damage and leaves you focused only on survival? I got sudden, serious problems with my teeth.
The reality is people can die from their teeth. That's the truth. Your teeth can actually poison you at a certain point. We've seen it happen in different ways. So please pay close attention to your own healing ways and your own healing techniques. You'll also find that there's a lot of things that you can refocus on. You're talking to us on the other side of the veil. When you talk to us in this way and you talk about being in survival mode, please understand what you call die, to us, that's ascension. You're coming home. You're happening very quickly. You have this opportunity and this idea of everybody suddenly ascending in one day. It was actually written in your scriptures amongst with everything else. And that's not going to happen in that. That's happening now. It's happening now, but it's happening piece by piece. It doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a moment. You have images and television programs and movies about people driving down the street, and all of a sudden they're taken away and their car keeps going on its own until it crashes into something. And all the bad people are left on planet Earth and all the good people ascend. Absolutely not. You're all going or nobody goes. And that is a really good, important piece for opening up your inclusivity and realizing everybody on this planet counts. Plain and simple. That's the piece. You all go or nobody goes. So what's happening is you're taking small steps. And sometimes you're pushed back down the steps, and sometimes you have to recoup and so forth. It's not perfect, but you're making huge advances. The steps are there. They weren't there before. You're huge opportunities. Keep your eye on that and watch what happens. Aspava.
Thank you for that, Steve and Merlia. We go now to Nora, who is wanting to know about food and water. Do we really need to eat and drink? Or is this just a program? And what else is possible with our bodies that we haven't acknowledged?
Oh, there is so much going on with the physical body. Your physical bodies must evolve to live and exist in the higher dimensions of the fifth dimension. It takes time. Physical bodies don't change easily, like your systems we talked about. Sometimes they have to break apart a little bit to re-put them back together in a different way. Physical bodies are similar, but they're all going to take this evolutionary step a little bit different. So there's not one single thing that everybody can do to take that next level, to take that next step. But you're in some fascinating opportunities to change the way the physical body works. The easiest way that we have been talking about this is the percentages. We'll simply tell you that right now you're roughly about 80% physical, with 20% of your spirit gets to leak out when you smile, when you laugh, when you're in your passion, when you're really doing things that you love. Your spirit comes out. That's the idea. But it's only about 20% of the time. What if you were able to 50-50? What if you were able to reverse those figures? That is fifth dimensional reality. And it takes time because the physical body has to evolve into that. The physical bodies are going to be living longer, plain and simple. And we've talked about that's why we're talking about agelessness right now. We need to, more than adjust your physical body, we need to adjust your thought patterns. That's where the problem is right now. That's why we're teaching these classes, to introduce new seeds of thought that you can grow, that you can run with. What if you were able to live to be 300 years? Well, it'd be fine if society paid attention to you, but after you turned 65 or 70 years old, if all of a sudden they decided you were no longer use, you're going to have a very difficult time for the next 280 years. The reality is you have a lot that you can work with. Everything will be changing, including your outlooks on things and so forth. So plant those seeds now. Plant the seeds now. Now, when you're in survival, it's difficult because instead of looking where you're going, you're looking at the next step. You're looking at the next possibility about this. And it's very difficult to accept this, but we will tell you, you're being guided. There is someone on your shoulder who will help you. Now, please understand, there's a lot to this because you set this up for a reason. So your guides and your spirit and your channel will not remove things until those reasons are recognized or until they're used in the way that they were set up. So look at whatever you can to find anything that you can be grateful for in this experience. When you are grateful for it, you gain control over it in a different way. Instead of fighting it, be grateful for find any piece of it. You may find it the small piece. You may say, oh, well, it's really horrible. My life is terrible. I'm in survival every day, but my wife brings me my favorite food. Whatever it is, find one little piece to be thankful for and then start changing it and watch what happens. Espavo.
All right. Well, I am personally thankful for Steve and the group. So, okay, let's move on. We have a few questions from Nicole, and we'll start with her first one, which is she is moving to Salvador, Brazil next year. The right move for me?
Yes. It's not your last move, but it's a wonderful move. It's you understand you have when you open up to different cultures. If we could give all of the humans on planet Earth one thing, it would be the ability to travel. Because you start to see what humans are really like. You go to this place because it's totally different. They wear different outfits. They talk a different language. They have different things, and they're exactly the same inside. And you go over to this other place, and you live there for a while, and it's just fascinating. They have these wonderful foods, and these great clothes, and these colors, and everything else. But everything's different. But they're exactly the same inside. You're going to find that humans are the same everywhere on Earth. And when you can actually travel, that is ingrained in you. Now you have the internet. You have capabilities of closing down these walls, of literally breaking down these walls. You're still divided by your different languages, which is really sad. You're also divided by your crazy, stupid politics. And excuse us if we yell at you about that, but that is ridiculous that you do not have contact with every single country on the planet because you have some sort of political difference with them. Let the humans decide, not the politicians. And for that, we tell you that is coming. Absolutely. We hope that answers your question.
All right. We'll move on to and here on the politicians. Second question from Nicole is, she wants to develop an online platform to create a 5D community. And she wonders how she can best find the right people to work with, particularly a software developer.
There are many capabilities that are available depending on where you are. Used to be the key. You'd have to find somebody in your neighborhood. Of course, that's not the case anymore. You'll find that there are entire websites that do nothing more than hook you up with people with technological advantage. If you have difficulty, you'll have to write to the keeper. When we are in channel, his memory is shut off, so you'll have to write to him and ask him specifically for these things. He will send them to you. But these are here. And because of the internet, you're able to find people that can work with you on the other side of the world. And the biggest challenge you will have is not language, but time difference. Very simple stuff. And you'll be able to work with things. You're closing the gap globally, and you can close it with technology as well. What you will find is some very interesting things, because AI is writing many of the scripts that are written in code. And if you know anything about Python or any of the languages that are commonly used to write, you can get AI to do it for you without a lot of difficulties. It's fascinating, and this is going to explode. This is one of the things that the originators of AI was afraid of, that AI would start writing its own programs and evolve in a different way. And we tell you, do not fear it. It's going to be exciting to watch, but it's nothing to be afraid of. You'll find some fascinating things. Interesting stuff. Espavo, back to you, Debbie.
Okay, thank you. And the third question from Nicole is, can you tell me what's going on with my health? My body seems to be holding on too tightly and falling apart simultaneously.
In your situation, it has to do with holding stress. Everybody's going to experience stress in their lives. Stress is actually good. What you call physical stress is actually exercise. So the reality is you can use it in many positive ways. The challenges come when you bring in a stress and can't release it. It actually stays in parts of your vagus nerve, which go throughout most of your body. It's the wandering nerve. It's the part that you actually store in many ways. It's part of your autonomic nervous system. It's half of your autonomic nervous system. It's the site that calms you down, that works in that way, and you need to practice that. The other aspect would be physical grounding. That can actually help to release some of this. It can be anything from a hug to a massage to sex to eating to anything that grounds the physical body. In your case, we're going to actually suggest water with salt. In other words, a salt bath. We suggested this to the keeper. The keeper does not like to take baths. We told him to take a rag, put it on his hand, put the salt in there, fold it up, and just do that. It works. Over a couple of weeks of doing that, you will feel more grounded in the physical body, carrying less stress. There's also another aspect of that. If you decrease the amount of salt that you eat, whether it's through ingredients or extra, if you can decrease the salt on the inside of the body and increase its exposure on the outside of the body, you change the electrical connections between the physical body and the ethereal realms. Makes you feel more grounded, makes you feel more comfortable being in the physical body. Try that as well. There's many techniques. Get massages, hug everybody you can. Do the process of working with that physical body as much as you can, and it will turn around. It will. You're becoming more sensitive as we evolve. And this is liable to happen to many people, especially all the empaths that we deal with, because almost all of you that listen to our work are incredibly empathic. And some of you have actually had to struggle with the empathy of it. But here we are. Turn it around. Back to you, Debbie.
Okay, thank you for that. And we have a question from TPIHOPA from New Zealand. She said, the world system will collapse and rebuild. Will the new system align with indigenous knowledge and beliefs to support collectivism versus individualism? And what is best for the majority, not money, capitalism?
There is actually a blend of those things that may end up resurfacing. You will still have a form of exchange. You don't have to build your governments around it. And that's what has happened. They basically have built around the United States does not have a democracy. It has a capitalistic democracy, sort of. It doesn't really matter how many people vote for one or the other. It has to do a lot with gerrymandering at this point and all the other craziness of the way it was originally set up. It has never been set up in the United States to be that the largest number of votes goes to one side and that is the winner. That does not happen. It's interesting because all the other democracies that the United States has set up in the world, they've made sure that they didn't happen. So the United States is stuck with revamping a lot of things at this point. Yes, there's a lot of changes that will be taking place. We absolutely hope that that is the direction that humans go, to pay attention to the real energy of planet Earth, not the fake energy of exchange that you are using, not the dollar, not the euro, not the yen, not any part of that. You can work with exchanging light, and you will have exchange mediums. You will have money. You may end up with a global money. Whatever the case, whatever games you play to do this, keep the larger picture in mind. The indigenous always had it doesn't matter where you're talking about, whether you're talking about the Native Americans, whether you're talking about the indigenous tribes in Africa, whether you're talking about the indigenous tribes in Australia, it doesn't make any difference. They all had an honoring of the Earth Mother, of the connections of where you are. They had a deeper understanding. Today you call that spirituality, but that was normal life back then. You're moving back in that direction. But you're also hooked into all the third dimensional things that are holding you here. Money is one of them. So it's not easy. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to ignore money. You will get hungry at a certain point. So obviously you're going to have to find ways of working with all of these things, but keep your eye on the larger picture. You actually have a say-so in what comes next, and you can start saying it right now. Well done. Back to you, Debbie.
Okay. Nora is reminding us that perhaps she didn't get a full answer on her question, and she really wants to know about food and water. Do we really need to
Yes.
eat and drink?
You are correct. We get sidetracked. The keeper sees so many things. Let us talk about the food as we go forward. What you're starting to discover is that, number one, the physical body needs a lot less sustenance than you have been giving it. Over periods of time, as the money has taken over, the money has certainly taken over your farming practices globally. As a result, you're able to produce a lot more food, but it also has less value. It doesn't have the nutrients that the earlier foods have. So as you are producing more, you're producing less nutrients than what the body needs. This has been happening very slowly over the last 100 years. As this takes place, the physical body, you must eat more. It's very simple. So you have developed on Earth the habit of eating too much. What you will find is as you move into the fifth dimension, you'll find your needs are a lot less. You're finding that right now through the understanding, the resurfacing of a spiritual practice, which has been on this earth for a very long time. It's called fasting. It helps the body to clear itself. So you can certainly work with those in different ways. The keeper uses one form of this that he has been working with for almost 5 years now, called intermittent fasting. There's ways that you will find that you need less and you'll have more energy. You'll even get more from the food that you eat that has less nutrients. Because you're a spirit, not really a physical body. So the reality is you can do a lot with these things. But going forward, and thank you for reminding us, you'll need less food, which will be very important because right now you're having a difficulty producing enough food to feed 8 billion people. And that is a key number. So watch as you go forward because you will need less, and you can experiment with that right now. You'll start to feel a whole rejuvenation of your spirit in the physical body. Play with it. Watch what happens. Aspavo.
Thank you, Merlia. We have another food-related question from our friend from New Zealand. Should we be eating more lighter foods now? Definitely more natural and reduce processed food.
You're seeing that take place. You're seeing the awareness of the processing being the problem. Again, you have 8 billion people. You grow an ear of corn. How do you distribute that to 8 billion people? It's very challenging. So you have gone into your technology. You've learned to process food. You've learned to freeze it. You've learned to put it, to keep it from degrading and to make it available. And without realizing it, you've reduced the natural health content of that food drastically. And you're even putting in things that can be harmful to the physical body. Why do your physical body only last 100 years? There it is. What you're putting into it. If you were able to eat fresh every day, would you live longer? Absolutely. Look at the blue zones on your planet. Japan's one of those blue zones. You have a lot of people that live over 100 years already. Look at their habits. Look at some of the places on these blue zones that eat. Why do they do that? Because they grew up that way. They have traditions. They have healthy traditions. And it's fascinating to watch what happens with that. These are wonderful things that you can take forward. And you can integrate this into the new reality as we go forward. Let us give you a simple example. You're coming up in the United States on a tradition that involves food. It's called Thanksgiving. And it's all about having this big feast to celebrate unity. It was originally meant to invite the Native American Indians into the table to start having a connection between everything. It's how your races found out about corn, which was called maize at the time. So really, all these things are absolutely beautiful history. But you've forgotten why you got together. You still give thanks. You understand that. But you've forgotten really how it started. And you end up celebrating the food instead of the reason. You think about the turkey. You think about the gravy. You think about the cranberry sauce. You think about all the things that you would typically put there. And we apologize to the rest of the world because you're not familiar with what we're talking about here. And it's a local United States piece. But it involves food. It's the history of your history and repetition habits with food. Those have to change. And they change slowly. They change it's difficult to change. If you can make new ones around healthy, now you're starting something. And you're starting interesting. And here in the United States, when somebody grabs their stocking off the hearth and they open it up, it's not going to be full of chocolate. It can be full of healthy stuff that they love. You can make new habits. Start working with that now. And by the way, chocolate is Ascension food. Aspav, everyone. We thank you so much for being here. Dear ones, we're going to have to call this quits. Debbie, thank you so much for being here with us this day.
Well, thank you for having me, and I thank everybody for all their questions. We just had a couple. We have one maybe quick one for advice.
Have you ever heard us to say no? Have you ever heard us to say no? Okay, well then ask the question.
No. So this is the last one, actually. So this is from Rusky, and I have carcinoma sores on my scalp. Is it from cheap vitamins, herbs, and minerals I buy?
It was. Apparently you were in a combination which created things. Let yourself completely heal. Release the extras you're putting in the physical body and try to locate what it is that you're allergic to, because that's what this is. The other thing that you can do is to speed up your systems a little bit to eradicate what is in the body already. The one that we would suggest, probably the highest, there's two. One of them is swimming, and the other one would be in a sauna that could bring you into a lot of sweat. Anything that could bring that, or even better yet, a steam room would also do the same thing. Something that can help you release those things right now can help speed up the process of getting rid of all the toxins that you have gathered in that way. So clear it out first, and then try to identify which ones it is, because we do believe it's a combination that has triggered some of this. So you may not be able to find a single thing that you're allergic to, but I would take them very carefully and cautiously and wait at least 3 days before you change the next process. Whether you're taking one pill, wait 3 days to see the reaction, before 72 hours before you take the next pill of a different kind or whatever it is, so you can tell what combinations are working and which ones aren't. We hope that helps. This is Babo, dear one. Dear ones, we will leave you now. I will step out of channel for the keeper to return, but we tell you I have enjoyed you tremendously. You are magical beings on planet Earth. You have no idea who you are and how grand you are. We are watching you from all aspects of life. You are being watched, but it's not a bad thing. It's beautiful. You are the star of the universe right now. Keep up the good work. You're right on target. And with that, I am Merlia, and I love you dearly. Aspavo, dear ones, treat each other with respect. Nurture one another, play well together. I am Merlia. Come up and see me sometime. Aspavo. Debbie, say goodbye real quick while I
Okay.
control
Bye,
myself.
everybody. And thank you again. We had people from all over the world.
Magical.
And do hit the like button, subscribe,
And
whatever.
hit
Thank you.
both of them. Thanks, Debbie. Oh boy, well that was intense. Okay, and also Leavonne. Oops, that's not Leavonne. Leavonne, thanks, hon. Thanks so much for being here today. We appreciate it, hon. Yeah, like I said, Leavonne is a teacher of her own. You'll be seeing more of Leavonne here pretty soon if we get our ways. Anyway, thanks for being a part of this today, hon. Aspavo. With that, we grant you all, thank you so much for allowing us to play this part. We get to bring in incredible energies, touch hearts all over the world. It's very magical. Personally, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I'm going to continue that way. Aspavo, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Know that you are loved. Absolutely. And like the group said, when you're walking through a mud puddle, keep on walking. Aspavo, everybody.